Hello, I'm here to do a little book review on Freedom Under Siege by Ron Paul. Do a little screenshot of the book. Basically, this is a really good book, I thought. The book has 4 chapters. The first one is on individual rights, the second one is foreign policy, the third is about conscription, the draft, and the fourth one is about sound money. Ron Paul's sort of plea for gold, or his positions on why we should have a gold-backed currency, which I agree with. But getting back to Chapter 1, Individual Rights, I thought was a really good chapter. Kind of gave me a better idea of individual rights and why the individual needs to be, well, stronger. We don't really have a strong society for individual rights or individuals anymore, at least what it used to be. And we sort of have, in a lot of ways, a group sort of rights sort of mentality where people lobby for laws to have for gay rights or black rights or people with AIDS rights or this kind of rights or that kind of rights, and then we create laws like hate crimes. You know, if a white guy attacks a black guy, it's a hate crime, or if a straight guy attacks a gay guy or something, it's a hate crime. I mean, if it's a crime, it's a crime. Why tailor it a stronger punishment because one guy's straight and one guy's gay? Crime's a crime, right? Same thing with affirmative action, things like that. I think everything needs to be on a level playing field for the individual. We shouldn't give certain groups special treatment because ultimately it's going to create animosity with another group because one group's being treated, well, more advantageous than another. So I like the concept of individual rights, and sort of there's no group anymore. We're all individuals, which I happen to believe in. I don't really see black, white, gay, whatever. I just see people. That's it. And we all need to sort of get back to that. But that's just my opinion. And then I would definitely read this. If you even read any part of this book, read the chapter on individual rights and the definition of it. It's really good. The second, foreign policy, if you know anything about Ron Paul, it's a non-interventionist foreign policy where we don't nation build. So basically talks about that. So I'm sure you know about that already. Most people do. The third chapter about the draft, I thought it was really interesting because I never really put too much thought into it, and now that I do think about it after I've read this, it seems to me that in a free society a draft is completely BS, I guess, is for lack of a better term, in that in a free society you own your life. You have the right to life. If the government can draft you and conscript you into fighting a war, then you don't really own your life. You're not really free. Then this is a illegitimate free society. It's all BS. It's all, you know, you don't have any rights really if they own your life. One thing I found out that was particularly interesting in the context of today, we had some talk about there being a draft. If we do go into Iran, I've heard about that. Also, I've heard a discussion about a national service. Now, I don't know if this were politicians talking about a national service or eager, eager young people who are talking about having a national service whereby we, as far as I understand, are sort of drafted, where we have to serve a mandatory amount of time for the government and working on projects. I'm not sure what, but I guess the idea of the national service is to, like, you know, clean up the parks or like clean up the highways or build houses or something like that. And it's to sort of, you know, we're going to get together and have a, you know, like an opposite of a war draft. It's like a peacetime draft where we do good stuff instead of destroying stuff in a war. So that's kind of the mentality behind national service. Yes, no? At least that's my understanding. So again, in a free society, mandatory indentured servitude, you know, involuntary service doesn't jibe well with me. You don't own your life. Yeah, sure, it's a noble idea, and you want to help out the country and everything like that. But if you want to do that, do it voluntarily. Don't ask somebody to give up their time or their life to do a national service or draft, for that matter. Because again, in a free society, you own your life, not the government. I don't know where the hell anybody ever got the idea that the government owns you, which is sad. But moving on. Fourth chapter is about Ron Paul's case for gold, and I think this is a good chapter to read if you don't know much about Ron Paul's positions on gold, or do you think the gold standard's archaic and stupid and things like that, and we need an ever-expanding, inflating currency to keep up with, growth in the economy? But ultimately, one of the things that I think is really important for sort of a gold-backed currency is that it stops the government from just printing off more money and doing whatever the hell they want. They want to start a war, they want to fight a war, well, they just print off more money to pay for it. If they had to levy the taxes from the people, it would be a little bit more difficult, because with gold, you can't just print up more money if the money is backed by gold, because then you can redeem your money for gold and take away the wealth. They couldn't do that if they just printed it up. If they would run out of gold, it wouldn't be worth anything. Which is why Nixon took us off the gold standard in the 70s. Now, something that Ron Paul said, or was written in the book, that I thought was very interesting, is what the strength of the system is, and it was that the strength of the system is that it allows the people to check any monetary excess of their political leaders, and does not allow the leaders to exploit people by debasing their money, which is exactly what they do today. They print up more money, they debase the currency, and they use it for whatever they want. They exploit the people. It's that inflation tax that Ron Paul always talks about. Now, with that being said, I thought this was a really good book. The part about individual rights, which I really just touched on a little bit, was really good, and I also threw in some opinions of my own. But I would read it. And also, something that I thought would go really well with this book is The Politically Incorrect Guide to American History, which is this book. And there's even a little quote on top by Ron Paul saying that everybody should read this. And I think everybody should. It's a really good book. It talks about why some stuff was put in the Constitution, or how the farmers of the Constitution sort of were thinking about certain things. It also talks about the Civil War and Lincoln's position on slavery, and some interesting quotes by Lincoln that I never knew about, and gives me a better idea on Lincoln himself. Also, after reading about the Civil War, you may actually understand the South's position. You may side with the South. Unless you're from the South, you probably already side with the South. But that being said, there's also something interesting about Lyndon Johnson, and how I believe he fixed his Senate race to win, and by messing with the vote in certain precincts or something like that. And so basically he stacked the deck and he won the Senate seat. It's all in here. It's a pretty good book, and I would definitely recommend reading it. The Politically Incorrect Guide to American History, and I would read Freedom Under Siege by Ron Paul. And comments, questions, critiques, whatever is fine with me. I just want to put out another video. Thanks.